present scenario. Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have pleasure in inviting Mr. Pratik Roonghta, Managing Director and Partner, Boston Consulting Group, and who are also our knowledge partners for this event, to deliver the knowledge partner address. Over to you, Pratik.
Hi, good afternoon. Dave, I'm just checking if my screen is visible.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you.
Pratik, sorry, you've gone on mute again.
Okay, is it audible now, Arun?
Yes.
Good afternoon once again, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to be present amongst this virtual audience. As Mr. Rai just outlined, that ordinarily we would have met in person and talked about this important topic, but because of the current situation, we are doing this virtually. Still, we hope that the hours that you spend with us today will be equally effective, and we'll all have a meaningful and sustained discussion on this topic. Uh, what I wanted to do over the next few minutes is talk about what we are seeing as a new reality. As Mr. Rai also talked about, that the world seems to have changed in the last 6 months, and it means a lot for organizations. It means a lot for banks, and therefore it means a lot for the HR functions of the organizations. And therefore, what we will cover during most of today is what implications this pandemic has had on organizations and the HR departments, and how should we think about differently as we think about managing our employees better in the post pandemic era. Just a small snippet to show how we all felt in the beginning of the year, or towards the end of March, when the pandemic just hit us and we all went into remote working. It was something that we had not experienced before. It was something that we did not know whether it could work or not. But in the last 6 months, different industries, different verticals, different organizations, and different people have found their own way of making either remote or hybrid working sustainable and effective. Now, banking is a very high touch industry. And even though we've had the advent of digital and technology in banking over the last decade or so, still a lot of banking processes and interactions rely on the human touch. Consequently, when we went into lockdown, even in those moments, banking was deemed an essential service and was allowed to operate as much as possible within the realm of the lockdown, which meant that the banks reinvented or rediscovered different modes of doing business and serving their customers. And that's some of the things that I will touch upon today. But what I really want to talk about is how do we make this sustainable? What's really the new normal? And what does it mean for the employees and the HR functions of organizations? Now, if we think about it, over the last decade or so, there has been some move towards remote working and more technology collaboration. People have been conscious about the impact on environment and climate. People have been taking fewer flights, and virtual meeting and collaboration platforms have been becoming more and more popular. What COVID has done, it has fast forwarded us by 10 years. And the extent of digital collaboration and virtual working that we are experiencing now, maybe we would have gotten here 10 years later. But because of COVID, we have all accelerated, and today we are collaborating much more using technology than we would have otherwise done. In fact, there are studies which now show that as many as 70% white collar jobs could potentially be done online. Honestly, if we ask all of us, about a year back, if IBA would have approached us and told us they want to do this conference online, all of us would have laughed at it. Today, it's a reality, it's happening, and we are all participating in it very effectively. So we are calling this phenomena remote or hybrid working, because in all situations, remote may not work. For example, in banking, entirely remote may not work, and we need to supplement remote working with some physical working, branches, customer touchpoints, and therefore we are calling it hybrid working. What does hybrid working do for an organization? These are the 5 types of benefits that we could typically see from hybrid working. One, studies have shown that hybrid or remote working can result in improvement in employee productivity. In fact, we have done surveys which show up to 15 to 40% improvement in employee productivity is possible. Also, we save on costs. We save on electricity, real estate, and other costs, and this can result in up to $10,000 per employee of savings for an organization. Contrary to what we believed when the lockdown struck us, actually, remote working may result in higher engagement because employee commitment increases when they are allowed to adopt remote working, and as a result, absenteeism is also reduced. We've also seen that remote working and hybrid working can improve retention in organizations because employees who wanted flexibility can now have it. And finally, needless to say, that remote working helps the environment because we are taking fewer flights, we are staying in lesser hotels, and therefore we contribute positively to the environment. Now, all of us believe that for the last 6 months, many of us are working from home or are largely working from home. Is that the same as remote at scale? Can the current way of working be scaled up? And maybe not. The way we went into working from home post the lockdown on 25th March was ad hoc. We all tried to find out internet connections, laptops, Zoom, WebEx, different platforms that could work. But there was certain sense in opportunism around that. If we have to really make it sustainable and if we have to scale it up and institutionalize it, we have to ensure that all parts of the organization come together and work seamlessly. This is what we are calling remote at scale. So working from home is not the same as remote at scale. To make hybrid working scalable, we have to make an effort towards it. What are the common challenges that we have observed in the last 6 months across organizations who are trying to adapt to this new normal and who are trying to adapt to hybrid working, with some people working remotely and some people working from branches or bank offices? First question is how to ensure sustainable pace and workload. I'm sure many of you have experienced that now our days have no end and our weeks have no ends. Many of us are working from 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. in the evening because we don't have to travel. We are just joining meetings online, and therefore there is no sense of when the day will end. Similarly, the work is going over to weekends, and many of us are doing calls and virtual meetings on weekends. This may not be sustainable. So it's very important for us to identify what's a sustainable pace and workload which we can live with for many, many months and years to come. The other important question which was raised earlier today was how do we keep up with performance and quality? How do we ensure that the plans and the targets that we had set for ourselves are met and we are able to review these on a periodic and frequent basis? And finally, it's very important, how do we keep sense of community? Even in banks, which are now working in almost full time, many banks have deployed policies wherein only part staff can come to the bank. Even branches are operating in lean capacity. Hence, the entire team does not come together ever. How do you build a sense of community and engagement in such situations is an important challenge for HR departments to deal with. The way we look at it is remote or hybrid working models can be made sustainable by interventions at 3 levels: at the company level, at the team level, and at individual employee levels. And there are 3 dimensions in which we need to take these initiatives. First, we need to adjust the physical space. Then we need to adjust our people policies and processes. And finally, we need to bring the right technology tools and enablement for hybrid working to work effectively. So this means that whatever adjustments need to be made to the physical offices, whether it's for ensuring social distancing or it's ensuring that only part team is working at a given point of time and the other works remotely, we need to make those adjustments to the office space. We need to we need to put in place flexible people policies, which allow them to work remotely, which in many cases allow flexible hours, but in many cases, they give the individuals the choice to define how their working norms should be in the months post the pandemic. And finally, to enable all of that, it's very important that we use the right technology tools. Many of us have experimented with different conferencing platforms, for example, and have found something that works for us. Similarly, other collaboration tools may be important to make this remote working and hybrid working sustainable. We've looked at many companies around the world that have experimented with remote working and hybrid working over the last few months. And in the Western world, these are some of the learnings or findings that we come up with. These are all from financial institutions, so relevant to this audience. But many companies now plan to retain individual and team flexibility even once the pandemic comes under control. These could be things like remote working, AB shifts, etc. Things that we have tried in the last 6 months, but some of these can become sustainable. 83% of the companies which were surveyed by BCG, they plan to retain workflows flexibility. For example, moving people across roles, letting them become part-time. Many of these measures can be made more permanent going forward. And 50% of the companies plan to retain enhanced employee benefits. For example, childcare support, training, etc. Now, many of these may or may not be relevant in the Indian context. And this is something that we'll pick up during our panel discussion, where we'll ask the panelists on what they think is relevant and sustainable in the Indian context. As we think about the future, there are three levers that maximize workforce flexibility and productivity. One is flexible working hours, two is adjusting the team size, and three is repurposing the team, which is very important, which is upskilling and reskilling our existing employees to operate in the new normal. Customer expectations have changed, customer ways of interacting with the banks have changed, and therefore the way we serve our customers also needs to be changed. And this is an area in which we need to upskill and reskill our employees. I've taken a few examples from financial institutions around the world to just showcase what are the post-COVID remote work approaches that they've taken. And you'll see on this page that it ranges from some institutions being very cautious, where they only changed the office design to support social distancing, but not really made any changes to their working rhythm, to some which are very disruptive, who have decided to permanently transition to a hybrid model. So therefore, for all the banks and the bankers on this call today, we will have to identify what really works in our context and what really is sustainable. But each institution has to therefore find their own model, which we think can work for us. We've also been talking to many business leaders over the last 6 months to identify what challenges are they perceiving as they prepare their organizations for the future. And these are some of the responses that we picked up in our surveys. Many senior leaders are tangled in what we are calling techno anxiety. They are currently very focused on the threat of tech-driven disruption, and therefore they are sometimes losing visibility of the full picture. Many times business leaders are overconfident and may also be underprepared. They tend to overestimate their company's preparedness even as they lack data on the same, and are therefore not able to make the right decisions. Sometimes businesses may be wasting the worker advantage as unaware business leaders stand at the risk of overlooking their employees' positive attitude. And we must not forget that this new way of working requires a steep learning curve to a real learning partnership, which all organizations must drive and strive for. Therefore, we believe business leaders need to develop explicit strategies to address four key challenges. First, business leaders should monitor and measure the evolving forces of change and prioritize action steps. Two, you must increase your company's preparedness by taking stock of existing talent gaps and future skill needs. Three, acknowledge the enormous asset your workforce constitutes and foster engagement at all levels. And finally, it's very important that all business leaders support the creation of a real learning organization in partnership with your workforce, because tomorrow will not be the same as yesterday, and we need to be better prepared to face tomorrow. So to end, again, an image which, if you can see, I'm sure all of us can identify with. This is something that we've all gone through in the last 6 months. but now operating in a hybrid fashion is a reality, and we should all prepare ourselves and our organizations to deal with this future. I'll stop here for now. This is to set context for the upcoming panel discussion, but we will pick up more themes on this topic in the panel discussion. Thank you, and over to you, Dev.
Thanks indeed, Pratik. That was a wonderful presentation on the current and future challenges, and this was a very befitting knowledge partner address by you, where you spent some time on performance, quality metrics, and the other aspects. Thank you very much, Pratik. I'm sure we're going to hear more from you and from your colleagues in the succeeding panel